Are you sure? Is what my husband asked me when I told him I was starting this podcast. It wasn't the first time I'd heard those 3 words from him. And over time, I grew to hate them because every time he asked me, something happened inside me. I would pause. I would second guess myself. I would think, wait, am I sure? I was excited, energized. This was a lifelong dream, something I'd been building towards for years. But those 3 simple words planted a seed of doubt. And just like that, my energy shifted. That's how self-trust erodes. Not always through shouting or criticism. Sometimes through 3 quiet words repeated over time, until you stop trusting the very thing that used to feel certain to you. Welcome to Lessons for Life with Grandma Kate. If you're done with people-pleasing, tired of repeating the same pattern, and ready to learn what healthy relationships actually look like, you're in the right place. I get it. I was there too. At 65, I started learning the things I wish I'd known decades ago. How to see the patterns, why we keep repeating them, and how to finally treat ourselves with the respect we always deserved. And somewhere along the way, I realized something that changed everything. When we don't understand our patterns, we pass them on, not because we're bad parents, but because no one ever showed us anything different. That realization drives everything I do. It's why I write children's books, stories that teach kids about self-worth, boundaries, emotional safety, and making healthy choices from the very beginning. Because if adults are just learning these skills at 40, 50, or 60, imagine what can happen when children learn them early. Like a lighthouse, steady and strong, let's all shine a little brighter today. So what does it actually look like when you've learned not to trust yourself? It shows up in small, quiet ways that you don't even notice, but you feel them. And here's what makes it so hard. These aren't things you're doing wrong. They're things your nervous system is noticing based on what it's learned. When you grew up in an environment where your perception was constantly questioned, where your feelings were minimized or rewritten, your brain develops workarounds. It finds ways to keep you safe, even if that means sacrificing your own instincts. So what do these patterns actually look like in real life? Because they don't always show up the way you'd expect. They're subtle. And if you've been living with them long enough, they just feel normal. Decision paralysis. This is what happens when you've learned that making the wrong choice isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. Maybe not physically, but emotionally. So your brain starts treating every decision like a test you might fail. It's not that you can't decide. It's that deciding feels like you're exposing yourself to criticism, disappointment, or proof that you got it wrong again. Then there is people-pleasing. This one's sneaky because it looks like kindness. It looks like being easygoing or flexible. But underneath, it's fear. It's the belief that your needs are less important than keeping the peace. Saying no might cost you the relationship. That if you disappoint someone, you'll be punished for it. Maybe not with anger, but with distance, coldness, or being told you're selfish. Over-apologizing and over-explaining are patterns that you don't trust yourself and you feel the need to justify everything. You explain your choices before anyone questions them. You soften your boundaries with long stories so they don't sound too harsh. You apologize just in case you've inconvenienced someone, even when you haven't. This can sound like, sorry, I know this is probably annoying, but, or, I'm sorry to bother you. Because you learned that your existence required explanation, that taking up space needed a reason, and that being you wasn't quite enough on its own. Automatic self-blame happens when there's tension. Your first thought isn't, what happened? It's, what did I do? You replay conversations. You dissect your tone. You search for the moment you must have messed up. Even when you know deep down something felt off. You still assume it was your fault. Because what you learned is that when something goes wrong, you're the reason. Not the situation. Not the other person. You. Then there is hypervigilance. This is your nervous system on high alert, scanning for danger even when there isn't any. You've learned to read the room like your safety depends on it, because at some point it did. Maybe you learned to track your mother's moods so you'd know whether it was safe to ask for something. Maybe you learned to notice the subtle shift in tone. That meant you were about to get blamed for something. Now, even in safe spaces, you can't turn it off. You can't relax around people because you're too busy scanning, watching for tone shifts, reading micro expressions, trying to predict what might go wrong so you can prevent it before it even starts. The quietest one is you are cut off from your intuition. But this one runs the deepest. When you grow up being told that what you feel isn't real, that what you remember didn't happen, that you're overreacting or being too sensitive, you learn to stop trusting your inner voice. You stop checking in with yourself because that voice has been labeled unreliable. So when someone asks, "Are you sure?" your mind goes blank, not because you don't have preferences, but because for so long what you wanted didn't matter. These aren't character flaws. They're adaptations. They're what happens when your nervous system learns that your inner voice isn't safe to trust. And if you're the scapegoat in your family, this goes even deeper. Because it's not just that you learn not to trust yourself. You learn that you are the problem when something goes wrong. It's your fault. Your role is to absorb the blame so everyone else can stay comfortable. You become hyper-responsible for other people's emotions while completely disconnected from your own. You apologize for things you didn't do. You shrink yourself to make room for everyone else. And the cruelest part? You start to believe it. You start to think that maybe they're right. Maybe you are too much, too sensitive, too difficult, too broken. But here's the truth. You were never the problem. This is all too familiar to me. What really chipped away at my self-trust over the years? 3 words. Are you sure? My husband asked me that more times than I can count, and it was always after I'd made a decision about something I wanted to do, usually a business idea, something I was excited about. I'd share it with him. He'd look at me with a tone and say those 3 words. Are you sure? At first, I honestly thought he was just helping me think things through, being practical, playing the devil's advocate. So I'd pause and ask myself, okay, am I sure? Is this something I really want? But what I didn't realize at the time was how quickly that question shifted something inside me. I'd go from feeling excited and confident to feeling unsure. Like the ground had just moved under my feet. The energy would just drop. And more often than not, I wouldn't follow through. Because this pattern was spread over time, I didn't connect the dot. It just felt like a normal conversation, like he was being thoughtful. But my body remembered. I'd feel that tightening in my chest, that little hit of anxiety before I even finished my sentence. Eventually, I started noticing. He'd say, "Are you sure?" And I could feel the doubt show up almost instantly, like a reflex. So I started saying, "Yes, I'm sure," firmly, out loud. And then I stopped sharing certain ideas altogether, not because I was hiding things, but because I didn't want to keep handing over something I was excited about, only to walk away from it, questioning myself. That's when I realized this wasn't about the words themselves. It was about what those words had trained me to do. Second guess myself every single time. So here are my 7 simple ways to overcome self-doubt when feelings are dismissed. I hope that they can help you too. Rebuilding self-trust after invalidation isn't about a big breakthrough moment. It's quieter than that. It works best as a series of small, repeatable practices that prove to your nervous system over and over again. I notice myself. I believe myself. And I follow through for myself. Here's what that can look like. Number 1, name and validate what happened. You can't change what you won't acknowledge. So start by gently telling yourself the truth. I was dismissed. I was invalidated. Every time you notice it. Use journaling or talk with a safe person to record specific memories, the moments that taught you not to trust yourself. Write down what happened and how it affected you. This starts to change the old script that says you're overreacting, because you're not. You're remembering. And number 2, reconnect with body signals. Your body has been trying to tell you things for years. But if those signals were ignored or punished, you learned to tune them out. Now it's time to tune it back in. Do brief body check-ins throughout the day. Pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling in my chest? My gut? My shoulder right now? Just notice it. And use simple regulation practices like slow breathing, gentle stretching, or a short walk, so you can teach your body that its sensations are safe to notice again. Number 3, practice micro decisions. This one helped me a lot. Self-trust is built one small choice at a time. Start with tiny decisions. What to wear, what to eat, which route to walk. And here's the key. Intentionally go with your first honest choice. Not what you think you should choose, what you actually want. Then after each decision, tell yourself, I'm allowed to choose this, and I can handle the outcome. You're building a track record, proof that you can lead yourself and survive the result. Number 4, shift self-talk from attack to support. Notice the common self-doubt lines running through your head. I always screw up. I can't trust myself. I'm going to get this wrong. And when you catch them, pause. Replace them with something kinder. I'm learning to trust myself. I'm allowed to make mistakes. Over time, it rewires the negative way you talk to yourself. And number 5, set small self-honoring boundaries. Boundaries are how you practice believing in yourself in real time. Choose one low-stakes boundary to start, something small, like replying to a message later instead of immediately, or saying no to a minor request. Then follow through, even if you feel guilty, especially if you feel guilty. Then afterward, pause and reflect. What did my body feel before, during, and after? You're teaching your nervous system that boundaries aren't dangerous. They're safe. Number 6, spend intentional time with yourself. This one might feel awkward at first, but schedule short pockets of solo time, just 10 to 20 minutes, doing something that's just for you. Walking, reading, creative play, quiet reflection. Treat this time like a standing date with yourself, because that's what it is. You're showing up for you, consistently, and that sends a powerful message. I matter enough to show up for me. And number 7, build a supportive environment. You don't have to do this alone. Share your self-trust goals with 1 or 2 people you genuinely trust. Let them be a mirror as you learn to see yourself clearly again. And if you can, consider therapy or a support group. a space where you can process the invalidation and practice being believed in real time. Because sometimes the fastest way to trust yourself again is to be around people who already do. Self-trust isn't something you find. It's something you build. One small choice, one honest feeling, one boundary at a time. And if you're a parent, one of the most powerful things you can do is help your child develop self-trust early so they don't have to spend years rebuilding it later. It starts with how you respond to them. When your child says, "I don't like this," believe them. When they say, "That hurt my feelings," don't minimize it. When they tell you what they need, take it seriously. You don't have to say yes to everything, but you do need to show them that their inner voice matters, that what they feel is real, that they're allowed to know themselves. Because every time you dismiss or override what they're telling you, you're teaching them that their perception can't be trusted. But every time you pause, listen, and validate what they're experiencing, you're teaching them the opposite, that they can trust what they feel. It also means letting them make age-appropriate choices and letting them live with the outcome, even when it's not the choice you would have made. Let them pick their own clothes, even if they don't match. Let them decide they don't want to hug someone, even if it's Gramma. Let them choose which activity to quit if they're feeling overwhelmed. Because self-trust is built through practice, through making decisions, seeing what happens, and learning that they can handle it. When you step in and override every choice because you know better, you're accidentally teaching them that they don't. So give them space to choose, to fail, to learn, and to trust that they'll figure it out because you trusted them enough to try. Rebuilding self-trust isn't a straight line. There'll be days when the old patterns show up loud and strong, when you catch yourself apologizing for existing, when someone says, "Are you sure?" and you feel that familiar drop in your chest. That's okay. That's part of the process. The fact that you notice it now, that's something. That's you beginning to trust yourself again. So start small. Start today. Name one thing you felt but didn't say. Make one tiny decision and stand by it. Set one small boundary and see what happens. Because every single one of those moments is a message to your nervous system that says, "I hear you. I believe you. And I've got you." Whether you're starting to understand yourself more clearly, working through old family dynamics, or learning to do things differently, you're building the skills that help you grow into the person you were meant to be. Listening is important, but real change happens when you use what you've learned. So choose just one life lesson from today and try it out this week. That's when things begin to shift. And if you want more life lessons like this, be sure to follow Lessons for Life with Grandma Kate on Facebook and Instagram. If no one has told you lately, everything will be okay. Tomorrow is a new day, and with it comes new hope. As I conclude this episode, I must state that this podcast is designed solely for educational and entertainment purposes. While I bring my experience as a parent and grandparent, it's essential that you know I am not a licensed therapist. This podcast is not a substitute for professional advice from a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional. Got it? Awesome. Until next time, what is one thing you are grateful for?